Welcome to Medicaid Mastery, a cut above explaining the real long-term care Medicaid system.
Welcome to Medicaid Mastery with Antony Turbeville of Platinum Benefit Services. Tony has guided over 16,000 families through Medicaid planning. I'm John Clemens. Today we're going to explore a topic that's vital for families with disabled loved ones, and that's special needs trusts. What are they? Who needs one? How do they protect eligibility while ensuring lifelong support? We're going to dig into that today. So, Tony, hey, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you, John.
Absolutely. I'm excited to talk about this one. I feel like this is something a lot of people are going to need to know, but probably know nothing about. So let's dispel some of that, those rumors, some of those that ignorance. Let's get people the knowledge they need. So first of all, can you just tell me what a special needs trust is and how it works?
Sure, be happy to, but let me put the disclaimer out there that this is not legal advice. I am not an attorney. You absolutely should consult an attorney on anything to do with any type of legal document, particularly a trust. I'm only answering these questions as it pertains to Medicaid qualification and some general education. That said, a special needs trust is a type of trust which let me kind of define trust if I can. It's
Yeah.
essentially in today's type trust, it's just a legal document with all the right words written on it, signed by the right people, and the words give the instructions as to what is allowed to happen with the money that goes into the trust. And people think, well, how does it go into a trust? Well, the trust is used generally to open a bank account or other financial account where money is deposited in account in the name of the trust. That lets people know that that money should only be handled according to the trust. And there's three parties generally to a trust: the grantor or trustor, the person who funds the trust, establishes the trust, the trustee, the person who manages the trust, and the beneficiary, who is the person who benefits from the trust. Now, a special needs trust is set up for people who have special needs, disabilities. It can be somebody very young, it can be somebody up to 65, but it is not for somebody 65 or over. And that is a big confusion. Now, it may be over 65, um, but it's for the younger people. Once you get into the older, you can't use a special needs trust typically. You have to go to what's called a pooled trust. And a pooled trust is essentially a special needs trust where all the money is put into one big pot for management purposes, but each account is accounted for separately. You can think of it sort of like a mutual fund is run, right? All the money goes
Mhm.
into one pot, they invest it, but everybody has their own share and their own percentage so that you know what the value is. Now, the problem in Medicaid planning for both special needs trust, if it's somebody under 65, or pool trust, 65 or over, is that whatever money is left in that trust typically is going to have to be paid to the state or retained by the pool trust as charity, unless there is money left over beyond what was spent on the person's care. So, for example, Medicaid spent $100,000 on the person's care. In the trust is $100,000 left when the person goes on to the next life. Well, Medicaid has a claim on that $100,000, and they're going to come get that $100,000. So a pool trust and a special need trust is great for making sure that somebody has access to have needs met that otherwise wouldn't be, right? So if we have 100,000 and it's our name, we can't qualify for Medicaid. If we transfer it to this trust, then Medicaid pretends the money is not there for qualification purposes, and the trustee can then use that money to buy things that the beneficiary needs. They can't pay the money directly to the beneficiary, but they can access things for the beneficiary. Does that make sense?
That does. Yeah, that was actually my next question was how it all ties into the Medicaid eligibility. And so it's this money that's set aside for a specific purpose, but it's really nice that at least on the beginning side that Medicaid doesn't consider that, income or assets.
Right, but the negative is there's
Yeah.
generally speaking, better ways to do it. Now, where these
Mm,
trusts come in particularly handy is where somebody does not have family. They don't have kids, or they don't have, close family members that want to help protect the assets and pass those assets along to somebody else. The person's only concerned about themselves, and they want to make sure that money's available for them. Then a pooled trust or special needs
mm,
trust works out perfectly.
I see. Um, so then who's able, let's talk about setting one up. So like if I'm a parent and I have a disabled child or maybe a grandparent with can they set up one of these special needs trusts for their disabled child?
They can. And a grandparent, if I'm not mistaken, again, I am not an attorney.
Mm,
These trusts aren't my specialty, but there are basically first party, second party, and third party trusts. First party trusts have to go back to the state when the person passes away. So if a parent funds the trust for a child, that's generally considered a first party trust. So it will meet the needs of the child when the parent's gone until the child passes, then it reverts to the state. I believe if it's a grandparent or some other third party who funds that trust, then the state doesn't have a claim on it, and you can name the beneficiary of where the money goes when the recipient that it was set up for passes away.
mm,
So this becomes particularly important between a husband and wife. Some attorneys, for whatever reason, like to set up special needs trust where if one spouse dies, a certain amount of money goes to a special needs trust for the remaining spouse in case they're disabled, and they'll send that through the probate process. And the reason they do that is so that it's not a first party trust. So what happens is instead of the spouse setting up the trust directly, they put in their will that the court is to establish a special needs trust. That way, they didn't establish it. It's not a first party trust. Now it's a third party trust. And when the second spouse passes away, the money remaining in that trust can go to the children or whoever they want it to go to. So there are a lot of little nuances in
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. And that so along with that, so it sounds like if I'm hearing you right, the first party trust, the state would then take any money left upon the passing of the person, but the third party allows you to designate. So is it, and I guess my question would be, are these maneuvers, are these legitimate and ethical and legal things you can do?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and because I'm not an attorney, I can't tell you whether something is legal or not. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's what the Florida bar has told me. But I will say that attorneys do this all day, every day, and this is much like taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
The IRS isn't going to tell you what you can do to save tax, but if you save tax according to the rules, they're okay with it, right? Well, it's the same thing. Rules are set up for a reason, and a lot of people view rules as a roadblock to, accomplishing what they want. But really, they should view those rules as the breadcrumbs that give you the path to do what you want to do and
Mm.
accomplish what you want to. So, I will tell you that there's an awful lot of attorneys that set this up. They're not going to do it if it's illegal or unethical because they have a bar to answer to.
I'm curious as to what the restrictions are on that specific form of trust. Like, what can you use the money to pay for? What can you not use it for? Can you walk us through some of those examples?
Sure, again, not an expert in this area,
Yeah.
um, but let's say let's play the ridiculous game for a minute. And I actually had this happen one time. Person was towards the end of their life. They had never been to Disney World. They wanted to go to Disney World, but they were also couldn't walk. They didn't have transportation, and so they put all their money in a pooled trust. And one of the things they did, among others, was to schedule 3 days at Disney World with personal carekeepers that, you know, pushed them around. Of course, they paid for their tickets, the hotels, all that kind of stuff, and went and did that. So they can do that. That's an expense. That's not buying an asset, right? There are certain assets that they may want that the trust can buy for them and own in the trust name. They cannot put it in the applicant's name because it might be an asset that would then disqualify them. And I'm not saying a pooled trust would do this, but you could in a special needs trust, I believe. They want a boat. You could buy the boat. You just can't buy it in the applicant's name. You have to buy it in the name of the trust because the trust owns it, not the applicant. If the applicant owns it, they have to count it as an asset. That'll interfere with their eligibility. So it's really anything that the government isn't already providing them. You can't duplicate services being paid for by the government, but you can do pretty much anything else. But you can't hand money to the person and you can't buy assets in the person's name. They have to remain in the trust.
Oh, so going to Disneyland counts. That would be
Yep,
something you could do. All
you
right, that's good.
could.
I'm gonna file that one away for later.
Okay.
Well, Tony, this has been fascinating. I've enjoyed getting to learn about these special needs trusts, and I hope this helps people out there who are maybe having questions about what it is, how to get one. So, Tony, thank you so much for just bringing your knowledge to our audience today.
You're very welcome. Good to see you, John.
Yeah, good to see you too. And to our listeners, thank you for listening to Medicaid Mastery with Tony Turbeville. If you want personalized help navigating Medicaid and special needs planning, visit platben.com. That's platben.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a review. Check out some other episodes while you're here. And with that, hope you have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.